Yellow there! Currently, roughly 900 million people in the world are age 60 or above. But did you know that out of this group, 135 million people suffer from a mental disorder? Also, by the year of 2050, it is expected that the group of 60 and above will nearly double, from 12 to 22%. Taking into account the global population growth and assuming that the people suffering from a mental disorder will relatively remain stable, it is expected that the amount of people suffering from a mental disorder in 2050 in the age of 60 and above is 320 million people. 320 million people, a serious and growing global problem. When looking at Australia, 450,000 people in the age of 60 and above suffer from a mental disorder. Loneliness is one of the major factors causing this problem. An Australian study found that 31.5% of the elderly find lonely sometimes, and even severe loneliness was reported by 7%. Another Australian study found that life satisfaction and loneliness are highly correlated in Australia. But isn't the entire point of life to be happy? That's where Yellow comes into play, short for Young and Elderly Fellowship. The basic concept is to create a platform for young and elderly to meet up and thereby tackle the loneliness problem in Australia. In order to truly understand the problem, we will first need to gather some data. We did some interviews with elders, aged care staff and youngsters. We gathered this data with phone, face-to-face interviews and SurveyMonkey.
So firstly I conducted an in-depth interview with an elderly lady. She happened to, in her previous working career, be a nurse, and then after retiring as a nurse she became a manager of an aged care facility. So it was very interesting to hear from her perspective. The main insights that she gave us was the seriousness of loneliness within the elderly and how effective an interaction between anyone with an elderly person can be for the elderly, and how helpful it can be to improving their mental well-being. She also gave us another insight though as to the difficulty of technology within the elderly and how it would be difficult to teach them as they're not as willing to learn new skills associated with technology.
So we took out some time to personally meet elders and speak to them about their sentiments regarding loneliness. The topic of discussion, being a sensitive one, yielded very emotional responses. Many of the elders said days often feel much longer than they are due to lack of activities or lack of mental involvement. This is why a vast majority of them were in favor of Yellow and seemed pretty excited about the idea. Here is a classic example. Martin here talks about elders at the pokie centers being addicted to gambling, which actually stems from their lack of social life and companionship. This in turn causes them to feel lonely. Here we see loneliness causing a debilitating effect on individuals, and this is exactly what we aim to alleviate via Yellow.
We also did a phone interview with an aged care staff with the name of Ferry. He has been working in the place for more than 5 years. From the interview we gained some valuable information, such as the elders that turn out are not really going well with each other, and even fight for small things like threats. Ferry believes that the interaction with the youngsters would be best fit with it. Ferry also told us that the aged care facility that he's working for is always looking for activities for the elders, including activities from the external party. So this is a very good opportunity for Yellow to come in.
We also connected to students to get some insight from them on how they feel about the concept and how to involve them in using Yellow. 37 responses to our survey enabled us to make some good conclusions. After this, we did some interviews to go more in-depth into their feelings and thoughts. Some interesting results were that over half of the students mentioned to be happy to volunteer to meet with the elderly, rather than receiving money for that. Also, they provided some really valuable insights on which group of youngsters Yellow should focus. Finally, they graded Yellow 4.25 out of 5 stars.
After analysing the above research and going through all the steps that we did in interviews, we then decided to redefine our original problem. So we started with the original problem of tackling loneliness in the elderly, and upon conducting some in-depth research we came up with 6 main insights. The first being the validation of the fact that loneliness is a major issue with the elderly. The second insight that we found is that loneliness in the elderly is scientifically proven to form depression in the elderly, and depression is definitely linked to dementia and a decline in the elderly brain with dementia patients. Steps in these decline can be reduced through interacting with the elderly and reducing their loneliness symptoms. Number 3 insight that we learned is that loneliness can be tackled through companionship. The fourth insight we learned is that elderly people tend to fight with each other in aged care facilities, and so companionship between them is often rare, which is why we found avoiding this area. The fifth insight we had is that elderly have a major issue with technology, as well as a resistance to wanting to learn to use it. And the sixth insight that we found is that most young people would feel strange accepting money for helping the elderly or giving companionship to the elderly due to ethical reasonings. After doing a thorough research analysis and understanding the previously mentioned 6 key insights that we found a way to redefine the original problem. We started with understanding the seriousness of loneliness within the elderly and how it can lead to horrific diseases such as dementia and depression, and how regular companionship can halt or begin to slower these effects on the elderly. We also redefined the problem by narrowing down our 2 main target markets. So we narrowed down our younger audience to an audience of 18 to 24-year-old students. And we also narrowed down our elderly audience to those who are 65 plus, but are those who are in aged care facilities, specifically in low care, because those audiences can have an intelligent and a meaningful conversation with the young people as they're still very high functioning. We also redefined the problem by trying to overcome the issue of technology in the elderly. We think the main way to overcome this is by using the aged care staff to use the technology, as well as our younger target audience to use the technology, instead of getting the elderly to use their technology in general. Our research shows us that this problem will become reduced as a younger generation ages, their technology use will be better, but for now we need to tackle this problem by getting only the aged care staff to use the technology for the elderly and assist them. So as we have 2 main audiences, we have 2 problem statements. The first is for the elderly. So it says that elderly people in low care aged care facilities aged 65 plus need a way to find companionship because they are lonely, and loneliness can lead to dementia and depression. The second is for our younger audience, so young students aged 18 to 24 years old, both international and domestic, need a way to be socially fulfilled because they want to add value to themselves through learning and through creating social connections.
So now that we've defined the problem, we're going to look at all possibilities of integrating technology to alleviate this issue, most of which were a product of radical imagination. First, we came up with a virtual reality experience for the elders where they could interact with a virtual partner talking about a variety of topics or interests. The virtual reality could also give them an option of experiencing outdoor activities which they may or may not have experienced earlier, for example skydiving, bungee jumping, trekking, etc., which they are now limited by physical ability and cannot do so. We did not go ahead with this idea firstly because it's a very high cost factor, very expensive, and secondly the limited ability of elders to use technology would make it a very unsustainable idea. Second, we thought of creating a platform, either an application or a website, which aims to collect like-minded elders with similar interests. We were confident that this idea would work, but contrary to belief, we found out that they would either be conflicted or quarrelsome with each other. Thus, this idea backfired. Finally, after much more brainstorming, we came up with a realistic idea. Why not create an application which connects elders to young students who are between the age of 18 to 24. This is beneficial for both parties. Youngsters receive knowledge and wisdom through the elders' life experiences, and elders receive companionship with a maternal-paternal feel. The app aims to connect both parties based on common interests, ranging from sports to history to any topic. Now the main question arises, what's in it for the young students? Well, this activity can be classified as community service based on volunteering, which is recognized by educational boards and bodies such as universities. This app sets a minimum requirement of 2 hours a week to obtain each credit point, Thereafter, milestones of 6 hours, 8 hours and 10 hours can fetch extra credit points for students. This certification can boost the value of resumes for both domestic and international students.
After we finally decided to choose yellow as an application, we start to do the prototype phase. We start from the little things including the logo, the theme, and the choosing of color. Just like the name, which is yellow is the main color. It represents hope, happiness, optimism, and joy. All the things that are the opposite of loneliness. We continue the prototype phase by questioning how the users interact with the app. We start designing how the user journey will be, sketching the interface of the app and the sections and the branches of the app.
We will also engage with the users to gain some feedbacks and inputs to be later be implemented in the app.
We'll show you how the app will look like and how it works.
So we will show you the prototype of Yellow app to look at how a user will use the app step by step. Once you have downloaded the app from App Store or Play Store, you only need to open the app on your phone. The app will redirect you to the sign up interface, or if you already created a profile, you can choose to log in. But for this prototype, we will show you the first time user through sign up process. For the first time user, you will be given a choice whether you are a student or an aged care staff. Both users will have a different interface and journey. We will show you both users' journey. Starts with the first user, student. As a student user, you will need to fill your data. Remember, we can only accept students with the age between 18 until 24 years. For this prototype video, we will go with a student named Joanna, a 21 years old Monash University student. The city option in this phase will determine where the app matching procedure will be based on. You will be also asked how much time you have in a week in average to use this app. You will also be asked to upload your photo and fill your short bio. Luckily, Joanna already prepared her best photo and bio for this prototype video. Next, you will need to choose what are your interests. This step is important as the matching process will be based on your interests. Joanna here has interests in history and music. The app will notify you that you have successfully created your profile, and you will be directed to the app's homepage. And this is your homepage, where you can find match, look at your profile, and go to sessions page. You can also contact our customer service should you have any questions, or access the app settings. In this prototype video, first we will go through the matching process. Once you hit the match button, the app will automatically find an elder that match with your profile interests. And voila! Joanna's got a match with Frederick. In this phase, Joanna will be able to contact Frederick by the help of his aged care staff. Joanna will need to make time and date appointment to meet Frederick later. You can see that the homepage has changed, with Frederick on the main page. Since Joanna has an appointment time and date with Frederick, the next step is to open the sessions page. The sessions page should be open every time Joanna meets Frederick. Joanna will have to press the start session button to start the meeting with Frederick. Yellow app will have a tracker to track the elder's mental health. Before every session, the student needs to ask how the elder's feeling that day at the beginning of the session. After asking the tracker question, the session can be started. When the session is about to end, Joanna needs to push stop session button. The summary of the session can be viewed here. Yellow app also used achievement system to encourage the users to contribute more. Now, we will go back to the home page. This time, we will check on My Profile interface. At this page, we can see your profile, or in this case, Joanna's profile. We can also see the rating given by the elders. Other features like unlock achievements and your performance graph can be accessed from this page. Now we are back to the user option menu. We'll show you the prototype for the interface for second user, aged care staff. Aged care staff will need to help the elders for using this app. The aged care staff user will also need to enter the form before using the app. In this prototype video, we will meet with Rick Mickelson. Rick is a staff at Sunny Valley Aged Care. Prior to this step, however, Sunny Valley Aged Care has had a subscription plan for using the app. After creating the profile for himself, Rick will need to help setting up the profile for the elder. Rick will need to fill the data for the elder, including asking the elder about his or her interests. In this prototype video, we'll also meet again with Frederick and show how Frederick sets up his profile before finally meet with Joanna. This app also requires photo and short bio for Frederick. Rick will help take a photo of Frederick and discuss with Frederick what short bio is best to describe him. After the profile is created, Rick will be directed to the application homepage for HCare staff. We can see the homepage has quite similar layout with the student's homepage, but with some differences can be found. First, we will go to the sessions page. Here, HCare staff can access the timetable for the sessions of each of elders he handles. For example here, Rick handles not only Frederick but also Betty and John. Thus, their session time can be seen by Rick as well. While the students track the elders' mental health at the beginning of the session, Rick will be also responsible for tracking the elders' mental health after each session. This system allows the mental health tracking works without bias. After the tracking, the final step is to rate the student and give feedback, if the elder has any. Take note that the aged care staff doesn't need to join the session. Rick, in this case, only responsible to ask the elder after the session with the student ended. Another feature that we will look at this video is the elder profiles. In this page, Rick can manage the profiles of the elders he handles. In this page also, Rick can look at the mental health tracker from time to time. This is the end of the product video. Based on our research, the subscription fee of the app will be $149.99 a year per person. That will be paid by the HCare facility. But we are also hoping that in the future, government will also subsidize the cost, so the amount needed to be paid by the HCare facility can be reduced. This is the end of the video. We are hoping that the video could sum up our project well. See you and be happy!